Nicole Winkler of Jefferson Middle School in Champaign. Thank you for joining me on Beyond the Gym Floor. Fun fact, and I think our listeners will be intrigued to know this, but you were my student when I was a lowly teaching assistant at the University of Illinois. Nicole, do you remember that, or was I such a boring teacher that you've literally erased me from your mind?
No, I remember you. I could not tell you what class that was, but I definitely remember.
Hurtful. So, yeah.
It was almost a decade ago we talked about that.
Tread lightly here, because we would not want to disappoint the Beyond the Gym Floor fan base. So tell me a little bit about your role at Jefferson Middle School.
So currently I am a 6th through 8th grade PE teacher. We also all teach 1 quarter of health. Which is something we've done just recently the last 2 years, which has been kind of awesome because you get to keep your group, see them through the year, and kind of really get to know the kids you're working with. So you see them all through all 3 quarters of PE and then 1 quarter of health, which is a totally different animal in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel prepared for teaching health? Because I feel like when I went through, I didn't take any health ed preparation courses. And so I remember when I had to teach it for the first time, it was very eye-opening.
Yeah, not so much like the content. I just think like the classroom management, obviously, when you're not having the free range of being in the gym versus in the classroom, like that's a whole different ballgame. So for me, that was kind of eye-opening. But like, I mean, the content obviously is things we all know. It's pretty general topics, so we can kind of, and we have a little bit of free range of really what we want to do with it and what we want to get to the kids. And they have guest speakers that come in that we've had for the last few years that have just been awesome. They really get just a lot of good information to the kids that maybe they think they know, but kind of it really hits it harder for them to like actually understand it. So I really enjoy it, actually. It's a good mix-up, and I have it the last quarter, which is always really interesting after 3 quarters of PE.
Well, and that's kind of nice, too, because you've had the first 3 quarters to build a sense of rapport with your students where maybe they will trust you to have difficult conversations in health ed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's helpful. I've had it, we've just gone by last name, and with having Winkler as my last name, I just had it 4th quarter the last 2 years. But I definitely like starting in the gym. I think it would be a little bit easier of a transition to the portable where we're at for our classroom for health versus the other way around, because it's like I said, it's just different management styles, and I think we do get to kind of have that more outgoing relationship building where I get to kind of know the kids and they get to know me. And it translates to the classroom when we finally get there.
That's great.
Quarter,
so, Nicole, when did you know that you first wanted to be a physical educator?
Well, in high school, we were actually offered a program starting as a junior. It was a junior leader program and then a senior leadership program. And junior year, you basically learned every single activity that our school offered when it came to PE. And then senior year, if you stuck with it, you got to participate as like a student leader in a classroom. So we basically, from 2nd quarter on, assisted a teacher, and it was like a lower level class, so like a freshman group. But basically, we'd lead warm-ups. We would learn some of the skills they were learning, and by the end of the year, we were pretty much teaching lessons and stuff. And I think from there on, like, I always knew I wanted to be doing something with sports, and just kind of always had a good connection with like helping other people learn things, and it just kind of made sense. So
it just fell into place.
Yeah.
I wonder if any of the local high schools are doing a program like that, because I mean, I know it would be tough for the middle school level,
right,
to give them that level of responsibility, but
right.
I wonder if some of the high schools are doing that. I'll have to bring some of the teachers in from.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have a pretty good connection with the high schools. I don't think they do, but I grew up in Tinley Park, so up south suburbs of Chicago and things like that. But I mean, it was a pretty decent program. It was super fun junior year because everyone in that leadership program wanted to be in PE and wanted to do all the activities. So it was just like such a competitive class with a bunch of my friends. And then moving into senior year and getting to lead some of those things was just a pretty cool opportunity. So
you mentioned that you were at Tinley Park. Did you have any physical educator who really mattered to you specifically when you were there?
I think like just starting, like I still remember my elementary school PE teacher's name, Mr. Uhas. He was such a quirky dude. And like I had 2 brothers, so I mean I've always loved sports, but he just kind of made everything really interesting. And like I still remember he used to wear like Mickey Mouse t-shirts and every single day, like that was what we did. And he would set up just obstacle courses and he made, like some of the fitness things. Looking back on it now, I'm like, that's how you trick kids into doing fitness. Like, it's like, oh, you do this tag game, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're running the entire 30 minutes you're in there. So I think he made it really fun. And then even moving on to middle school, we had another teacher there, and his name I'm drawing a blank on, but we had to go I think it was like every third day. We had like a stationary bike room that also had like exercise equipment in it, and you had to hit a certain mileage, and like he would allow you to use some of the other equipment and show you, and like again, it was like you got rewarded with doing more activity, but like you were interested in it because it's, I don't have to do the bikes, I get to do some lifting today. And I think they just did a really good job of really making the program something where you wanted to be there. But I'm a little biased because I've always liked being active, so for me maybe it was fun, for maybe some other kids it was not, but I just think like I can still remember their faces, I can still remember some of the things we did, so I feel like that still means something to me if I can still remember it after all this time.
No doubt. So what would you change about PE if you could?
I think right now, like, our biggest struggle is just trying to keep up with how things are changing just in the world outside. Cell phones is rough to try and keep out of a classroom. And just, I wish we were able to use more of the technology things, but I think, like, sometimes the more we get away from, the skills and the fitness side of things, the further we get away from that, the further the kids kind of get away from being actually involved in it. So I think for me, I would love to be able to give them more opportunities that we could do some of those, some of the like fitness trends, like the CrossFits, and we've started implementing like circuit training, just like very minimal things that kids can do at home. I think that's kind of been one of more our big pushes the last few years, is trying to integrate things that we can teach them that they can bring outside the classroom and make it feel useful, because a lot of kids question that, why do I need to learn this and why do I need to do this? And I think our program at Jefferson, like we revamp it almost every year, just trying to figure out how can we connect to the kids and how can we find ways for them to find meaning in what we do. And I think just finding ways that they can bring activities outside the classroom is just something that we keep pushing and trying to get them to be on board with. So
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Now, middle school is that critical period of time in which girls especially start to lose interest in activity. How do you reach students who already seem checked out?
Yeah, it is tough. And middle school in itself is just a whole different beast. But I think, just trying to reach any of those kids that are kind of withdrawn. We use a lot of, we use music in almost everything we do, so we'll allow them to kind of choose playlists. Obviously we'll clean some of them up.
Oh, sure.
But we use that, whereas it's a lot of like, hey, like, I'll do this activity, I'll get the music started if you guys get going. And just like having a song that they like, and they might be a little off task every once in a while, but most of the time that kind of keeps them motivated. You think about people who go to the gym workout, they're always listening to music. So kind of giving them a little bit of that freedom is super helpful for us. We've also started trying to kind of reward our classes that do really good with participation with like a bonus, like choice day, like, you did really great during this fitness day, so we're going to reward you with this choice option, and it's 3 different activities that they get to choose, and they get to kind of have that, we get to go into this and I get to be there with my friends, and they're not thinking about how they're active, they're just thinking, I get to choose and be with my friends. So I think kind of having that, allowing those options, we kind of really try to draw on as many kids as we can, and we'll see on those days that we probably do get the most participation, just because they feel like they had the right to choose it, and they feel like they get to be with their friends. And that's just one of those things, like, middle schoolers are just seeking all the freedom.
Yes.
And just giving them those little tidbits of things, like, just really helps them stay active and kind of get into it. So that's how we can really try and reach everybody. It's not for everybody, and we know that, but it helps at least.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a special kind of person to teach middle school. That is a really challenging grade level.
It's funny because when I actually did my student teaching, I did elementary and I did high school, and I was like, no, never do middle school. And then when I graduated, I actually didn't go straight into teaching. I did a before and after school program for like 4 years, and then got out of that and made my way back down here, and a middle school position opened up, and I was like, you know what, I might as well try it, because I never really did much of it when I was doing my practicum. But yeah, it's different. I can say, like, every day is different. And
they throw new curveballs at you all the time.
Every single day. You never know what... and the kids that can be a problem one day will want to be your best friend the next day. And you just have to wrap your mind around it as an adult, and just being like, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's up from down half the time. So
sounds like educational whiplash.
a little bit.
So any advice you would share with the current cohort of Illinois undergrads who are thinking about a career in PE?
I mean, a lot of what we do, I mean, I can speak from a middle school perspective, is just, it's making connections with the kids. I mean, again, we just try and, they might not be learning all the skills the best that they can, but they're learning a lot of social skills that they don't get inside their regular classrooms. And I think even a lot of like the gen ed teachers probably don't understand how much they're actually learning in our class that's maybe not related to what we're teaching them, but just like life skills. So I think one of the things I would, give as a piece of advice is just, it's really about those connections and what you can do to just make that kid a better kid outside of your classroom. I mean, we do a lot of, sportsmanship and just dealing with like confrontation and conflict. Like, hey, like, yeah, you lost, but it's not the end of the world. Like, I always tell my kids, like, hey, you're not going to see these clips on ESPN later tonight. So it's okay if you lost, and you'll get to come back tomorrow, and we get to do it all over again, and maybe you'll win tomorrow.
And I bet I love that sort of cheeky sense of humor that you have, too.
Yeah, some of them get it. Some of them, it goes right over their heads. But, I just think it's more about, making the connections and understanding. I mean, like, I get it, me teaching them, like right now I'm doing ping pong. It might not be super detrimental to their life if they understand it or they don't. But I actually had a girl who came up to me during lesson and was like, I've had a ping pong table at this house we've gone to every summer, and I never knew how to play. And she's like, I can't wait to go back this summer and actually play. And I'm like, perfect. That's great, because now you're taking a skill I learned here. You might not even go play it right, but you're at least going to try now.
I love that.
And it's just like, we have little moments like that, and it's like, okay, like if I can get even a handful of students who are buying into that, then it's totally worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned that example. Do you have another that comes to mind of just a teaching highlight, something where something clicked with a student?
I mean, I think as like actually a class this year, like my second hour, they are just like, I wish every class could be like them most days. Like they just do. They just get things done. I can go through the lesson. They're the right amount of competitive, which is nice. Because we'll have a lot of kids. I get that. Like, I was the most competitive, and I get that some kids aren't. But they can have fun with it, and they're inclusive of kids who maybe aren't the best at skills, and they'll, try and get them to come and play on their teams. I mean, like, they're at the point where I can get them going, and they can pretty much run their class, and then I can really problem solve, and, kids who are really struggling kind of hone in on them a little bit more. But I think just with that group earlier, like, one moment that sticks out with them is we were in a hockey unit, and one of the girls was like, is this like your favorite class? Because you always seem to really enjoy it here. I'm like, I do. I'm like, I really like that you guys can buy in. Like, I don't have to worry about things getting like too out of hand. Like, you guys just really want to be here and do stuff, and it may not always be your favorite, but everyone tries it, and like eventually they just get it and get into it, and it's fun. And she's like, yeah. She's like, we should just have a classroom dinner. And I'm like, we'll talk about that. I don't know if I can make dinner for 30 plus kids, but we'll work on that at some point. It was just kind of a random like off point moment, but just things like that.
I love it. So Nicole, since you're changing lives every day as a local Champaign-Urbana hero, the public needs to know, what do you listen to in the car?
Oh man. I have such an eclectic taste in music, but every time I'm driving, it's like a little concert, I like to think. I don't know. I mean, I'll go from anything like Adele to Lizzo to like, I mean, the kids get me into some of the rap that they're listening to. I mean, it's really anything. Some old school like emo music, some Eminem. I mean, I'm all over the place.
I love it.
I just like, I was just telling someone the other day, if they have taught things through songs, I'd probably be one of the smartest persons. I just can memorize songs, and it's just like, I love it. I wish I had done more with music, but
you could be like a PE/music teacher.
Maybe,
you could go back, do 4 more years of undergrad.
Yes,
yes,
just what I need to do.
Yes. Favorite snack?
It's not really snack. I just got like pizza comes to mind. I know it's not a snack, but
you can make it a snack.
Yeah, like I'm just a Chicago girl through and through, and that's one of the
go-to.
reasons I can never leave Illinois. Is I've gone elsewhere, and I'm like, you just can't beat pizza from here.
No doubt. First concert.
The Spice Girls. Oh,
that's so great.
9, and me and my mom, my best friend, and her mom went, and yeah, it was awesome. And standing on the chairs, singing every song. Got lost for like 3 hours trying to find our car afterwards, but yeah, one of the coolest things ever.
Spice Girls.
Yeah. It's a throwback.
That is really great. So finally, when you're not inspiring the next generation of active movers, what TV show do you look forward to watching maybe in the evenings? I know you're busy with coaching
Yeah.
volleyball, but is there something that you've been looking forward to lately?
I mean, when like Game of Thrones was on, that was our thing. Me and my fiance kind of go through just a slew of shows. Right now, I mean, as a joke, we started watching The Bachelorette, and now we're kind of both like really drawn into how terrible TV it is. So I mean, that's just kind of something that we do now on Mondays, and it's like, this is awful, but it's like you can't stop watching it because it is so awful.
Oh yeah.
But we'll watch like reality TV shows like America's Got Talent and Big Brother and things like that.
Reality TV shows make me feel like my soul is dying.
a little bit.
A little bit. You're like a little bit, and I love it.
Yeah, but like those competitive ones, I'm like, I could do that. I think I could be on that show. Like maybe not Survivor, just because I hate sand, but like those ones, I could beat them. I could probably do that. Like that's a competitive. That's how.
Oh yeah. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for being a guest on Beyond the Gym Floor. And if you would like to be a guest or simply have a comment or a question, you can reach me, Jamie O'Connor, at beyondthegymfloor@gmail.com. Encourage your friends to listen and subscribe to the show either through iTunes, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Thanks for listening, folks.